The weekend was it was a good time. The Saturday races went pretty good. Got the win in the 700 and the Open, and kind of got waxed in the 450. 15-year-old kid beat all of us, so Ezra killed it. And then today had a little bit of a rough go on the Open first run. Just buried it and didn't even make it up the hill or even come close. And then second run gave it a good one and got up. I think I ended up 5th. And but we were all in the same second, and it was a close one. It was definitely fun, cool experience out here.
Right on, man. Like you're getting more seat time on your Open bike. Like, how are you feeling on that? The more you ride?
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning it more and more. Yesterday was kind of a more just technical, pick your way through the course, hit your marks, and kind of skim up there was ways you could wheel tap over bumps and get good drive. And today was real deep and I guess probably more of like a real traditional hill climb. So I'm just trying to figure out just the right techniques to doing this on the big bike. And I mean, even on the 450, I think I went 4-5 today, 4th in the 450 and 5th in the Open. So still got some things to learn on a real traditional hill climb like this. I don't have some tricky jump where I can pull something off here. It's just real deal hill climb.
Yeah, so I get pretty hard on myself, and my dad is there to help me. And then just talking to a lot of the top guys, they just said that when they first came out here, they weren't dominating every class or winning all the time. And I have a lot to learn. I'm new to these big hills with the turns and the technicality. It's just a learning curve, and hopefully over the years I get better at it and just keep practicing every day and just think about it.
At the bottom of that Open class hill, from where I was standing on top of the hill, it looked hard to see. Take me through it, because it looked like at the beginning a lot of guys, that hit a lot of guys. Like, what was it like down there?
You start off kind of at a diagonal angle after they tilt it. Come out with a lot of traction with a paddle or with a knobby tire, and my M5B really hooked up, and I was taking the turn, and I must have hit a kicker or something, and my feet came off the pegs. That's completely my fault. My bike had the perfect setup to go fast, and I think it's just really tight and technical, and if you didn't get through it right, you'd have a struggle to make it over the top. So about next summer, I've just been talking to a recruiter, so it's probably going to happen most likely in the Air National Guard. I'm going to go into that for about 8 weeks for basic training down in San Antonio, Texas next summer, and 8 to 9 months of technical school for a job into that, and then after that, I should be able to figure it out 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So it'll be right back to racing after that. But just going to focus on the future, then come back to racing.
You know what? I'm actually really thrilled with my day. I rode the bike phenomenal. I feel like I was riding really well, and I was putting the bike in the positions I wanted to be in, and really just riding how I know I can ride. Results weren't really where I'd like to see them, but I'm in the mix. I think I got 3rd overall in the day. I went 5th place in X Climb and then 3rd in Open. So 5-3 and overall, people were kind of all over the place. We had Logan Cipala won 1st place in the X Climb, so he went 1-4. It was a dicey day, and I was consistent. Both runs, everything worked out really well. Wish I could have got that 1st place, but I think I closed up points quite a bit between me and Austin. Still going to finish 3rd on the series overall, but I'm happy. My riding's good. I'm healthy. I get to go home and know that I was riding really well, and I think this is the last race of the year, so I get to kind of go back to the drawing board and train a little bit and just have fun with it. So I'm happy.
Refresh my memory on your first run of the Open class. Did you get stuck on that bottom like a lot of other guys, or no?
No. So first run of the Open class, actually, I went one rider right behind Logan Cipala. He went over. He had a 12.6. I went over right behind him with a 12.7. So I was really happy with that. First run, no one was getting over. To be in the first round, knowing you have a second run in 2nd place, happy. That's good. You want to get that solid first run in, and then have kind of a backup plan and let it hang out a little bit on the 2nd run. And that's what I did. I got faster in my 2nd run. Was able to get back in front of Logan Cipala in my 2nd run, and be in 2nd place most of the remaining of the 2nd round until Mason Miller came in and got in between me and Ty Cat. So I finished third on the day in that class. So we're up on the box. Hopefully keeps the sponsors happy, and I'm pleased with my riding.
What's next on the racing schedule for you?
We're done for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, we had a couple races that were going to be scheduled for Tracy, California, and then also Washington, Yakima, Washington. But because of the COVID thing going on, the spike right now in cases, they're actually just going to cancel those events. So I'm done for the year, racing-wise. But as any racer knows, this is when we go back to work, really. We're going to go back to the drawing board and start training a little bit. Want to lose about 10 pounds and just get comfortable back on the bike to where I know I should be riding. So that's all doable, but we're having fun.
Coming into a new season next season, are there any plans for change of bikes? Anything new to the program that you're aware of already?
Yeah, I got some suspension testing planned already. I can tell my suspension setups have been really soft in the past, and it works really well for certain style hills. But we're the level of competition is getting a lot more stacked, and I've just noticed I need to start stiffening stuff up because we're going into things so much faster. So I have a couple suspension test and tune days scheduled in the next month here. We're going to try to get the bikes, we're better. But as far as new setups, no, I think we're going to be running the same bikes next year. But like I said, we're going to be doing trying to get that suspension dialed in, and I think really that's my biggest fault right now. We can do a lot better setting up the bikes a little stiffer. We'll go from there.
Those little mistakes were costly for sure, and I knew coming into the final round here, obviously I knew that I couldn't. I just knew that mistakes were. I had to really focus on not making mistakes, and it just was a struggle for me today. My shoulder was tight this morning, and along with that, I wasn't able to hit my lines the way, and my corners on the bottom of the hill were just like not as flowy and smooth as I liked them to be, and I just was maybe overriding the bike a little too much today for some reason. And I kind of was kicking myself a little bit because I just knew I was like, slow is fast and it's smooth. So I kept saying that to myself, but then you get up to the line and it's hard to not charge hard, and to kind of cut it down a level, on the throttle. And so to tell myself that it's not easy, but at the same time, we learn from that. I learned from that, and I think that really costed me this weekend was me pushing too hard on the bike. I needed to relax more, kind of just let the bike flow more. Just those mistakes were costly for sure, and all in all, we had a good weekend. I can't take away anything from that because I'm always learning, from those mistakes, and obviously bummed on the results foremost, but just hope that we come out next year swinging and just better that and not make that happen again. My mechanic Dan and I were really we set, this being my home grounds, out here. I kind of knew how to set the bike up properly for the hill for what I thought it would be the best setup, but I've never really been able to test on that bike with the Dominator rubber paddle on it, so it was kind of all up in the air, and I think that kind of was one thing where we need to get out and test more on that if that was something we really, wanted to take, I guess, more seriously in that sense. It was more so we just set that bike up. I decided, hey, I want to ride it this weekend, and the hills were definitely challenging for sure, but I think the setup on the bike wasn't terribly way off or anything, and no excuses, but I kind of wish things were a little different here and there. But all in all, we learn, next year I learned from especially the nitro bike running out here, it's going to have to be something, a different setup. Whether we decide to run that next year, we'll have to do some more testing in the off season or just run my other gas bike. So that's stuff we just have to figure out. I'm actually stoked, not on the results on it, but I'm stoked to be able to ride it here and learn from that. And now what I know now from this morning, kind of throwing it all up in the air, I learned a lot with that, with the rubber tire, and that bike was just tough to ride. Yeah, it just kind of overpowered the hill. We weren't really bonding well from the get-go, so it costed me, but you just got to look at it for the better, move on, and gotta get back to work and look forward to 2022.
It started off pretty good. I had a pretty good run in the 450 qualifying. My first run, I played it pretty conservative, put one over the hill, and I think I started out in about second or third place, but just kept getting bumped down and bumped down. real technical hill, and it just kept getting faster and faster. And my second run, I came out and let it hang out a little bit more, got some more speed, and ended up qualifying in 6th in the 450 class, and I was pretty happy about that, leading into the 450 main. And the 450 main, I won my first round, and second round I just made a bobble and didn't go too well. So I didn't place very well in the 450 main, but we came out and open, and it was insanely tough hill. I mean, it was technical. It was you had to be smooth just to make it over. You had to have a good ride just to go over. And thankfully, I stayed hooked up. I stayed with traction and just made a perfect smooth run and was able to win the class with my first ride.
What was the biggest challenge on the 450 hill and on the 450 qualifying, the 450 main, and then on the open class? What was the biggest challenge for you on each of those different hill setups?
Yeah, so for the 450 qualifying, it was just a really fast hill. You had to hit your marks, and if you were off by a little bit, it would just slow you down. And there's so many fast guys out here racing the Motoclimb Super Series, and if you're not on top of it, with such close racing, you can fall behind pretty quick. So everyone's within, all the top 15 guys were within like one or 2 seconds, and that's a big deal. And then the 450 main, my biggest struggle was my bike was actually hooking up too hard coming out of the gate. I was wheeling too hard, and right at the bottom of the hill there, where you start, there was a jump right after the gate. So I was actually wheeling into that jump, and it was causing issues getting up onto the hill. I just about looped it out on my second 450 main, race. So, so it was definitely tough being that close to a jump right out of the gate, and I think I just need a little bit of suspension work and a little bit, more tuning on the bike, get it kind of dialed in, to hopefully, not have those issues in the future. Then the open hill, man, it was tough. It was deep, it was rough, it was off camber, it was, anything you can throw at a hill, that's what it was. And like I said, I was just, I got those lucky bounces. I put myself in a good place on the hill to be able to snag the fast time.
What's next for you, man? Like, what's next on the race schedule?
It's kind of starting to wind down. Last year I actually went out and raced the AMA series, the AMA Pro Hill Climb Series, and ended up walking out with a championship in the twins class and the inaugural running of that. So I'd like to head back out east, kind of for the remainder of the season and see if I can do well in the races there. Unfortunately, I'm not in the points in that series because of my injury at the beginning of the year. But I'd love to go out there and at least race again and finish off the season strong.
Skip 2020, you're now back-to-back Motoclimb Super Series champion, man. Take me through the weekend. How'd it go? How did the weekend play out for you to capture the 2021 championship?
Yeah, weekend was solid all around. Yesterday was a little bit of a struggle. Morgan and I drove through the night just to be able to get here, and we literally rolled in at 10 a.m. when the riders meeting was started. So I was dragging a little bit yesterday. I'm pretty tired, so I didn't quite ride as well as I would have liked to, but the finishes were still good. So it made me a little bit more stressed and anxious for today. But started out with qualifying pretty well. I was battling back and forth with Josh Hill a little bit, so that's always a big confidence boost. If you're close to him, you're hitting your marks and doing well. And then verticross, I just felt dialed. My setup was perfect. My length was good, gearing was good, and we were just hauling, going up the right lane. So I was a little bit unsure of which lane I wanted to take at the beginning of it. The right one, kind of just stuck with that and found a good lineup through there and ran that the whole way through. So it was pretty huge to get that win, and it made it a lot easier for open class for me.
Take me through that second run. You had a little bobble on the at the bottom of the hill. What happened?
Yeah, so we had a pretty good first run, and I was sitting, I think, in second at the time. So I was just kind of, I was going to give it all I had and just try to lay one down and hopefully make a heater out of it. And I think I just went a little bit wide. My rear tire caught a kicker that I didn't really expect to, and it just bucked me off. And it was just so soft and tricky in there, and it was pretty rough. So if you got bent out of shape at all, it just kept getting worse and worse. And then before I knew it, I was just flying through the air with no legs on the bike or anything, and had a pretty lame tip over. But First run, luckily, we laid one down that was good enough to stick for 4, so I was definitely pumped about that.
Back-to-back championships. How's this one compared to the first one?
This one's awesome. The first one was probably a little more sweet because it was the first time getting in. It was just such a heavy battle all the way to the end. I mean, it came down to literally the last race of the finals of the final Verticross matchup. So this one was a little, not easier, but I was more consistent throughout the whole season in order to set me up better for the finals, which definitely made a big difference, and it helped me out this weekend a little bit.